what you want to do. It is kind of a cool thing, and it's a mess. I was actually starting to, as you were saying it, I was thinking, this is sort of competitive governance. You go from, you sort of say, okay, I'm going to take my Social Security from Chile, and I'm going to get my education from Russia, and get freedom of speech and religion in America, and I'm going to run my business in Singapore.
The best thing would be if the Bay Area just became its own country, which broke off from the rest, call it Freedom Land or something.
Funny, I'm creating a new state, you know.
In the island, or is this something?
No, the state of Silicon Valley would have it compete with California for the counties.
You are creating this?
How do you create a state?
Yeah. You have to get all the governors to agree, because the state, either the state has to agree, or the feds have to agree, or all the governors. Not all of them. Two-thirds.
The governors
Of the other states.
How far are you into this?
I wrote a constitution.
Can I read it?
Yeah. I didn't know you were into this.
Yeah.
So can you just email me to remind me of this?
Okay, awesome. Yeah. But tomorrow I am going to pitch Bravora. That's a secret, so you're just going to be surprised. Yeah. Although originally, so Marco and I put this aside, and we're actually originally just thinking of selling our time to a company that's actually trying to raise money. And we spoke with Frank, and Frank just told us, "I just go pitch your idea." So we're going to pitch Bravora.
Yeah. And Bravora would
the music education.
Oh yeah. Yeah, pitch that.
Yeah, we're going to pitch that tomorrow.
And it's one, and then the other. You're both going to.
We're both going to
take 2 minutes.
It'll be less than 2 minutes.
Okay.
In and out. Yeah.
Good.
This is what it does. This is why it's important. This is how we're going to win. Any questions?
Yeah. Cool. I like your other one too.
That's what I actually want to do.
No need to pitch that tomorrow.
Yeah. Should I?
No.
I'll get my own 2 minutes outside of before, and I'll if I work on it. Yeah.
You can. I mean, it's illegal in the U.S. to
discuss it.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, to do it.
Oh yeah.
So you'll have to figure out how to make it legal in the U.S. or make it another, from another government entity.
This is something I really want to do, so I got to think about it more.
Yeah. I came to the conclusion that we need competition in government, because then they'll all get more efficient.
Yep.
The kings will be over. We're starting to get it anyway with tweeting. Oh, Mr. Barber.
Have you heard of Free Cities and a Team of Four?
Free cities. Not in Honduras?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I have heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's done by Milton Friedman's grandson.
That's the C-setting.
That's C-setting.
By Patrick Friedman, yeah.
Different one?
Yeah. So, Free Cities is, C-setting is the idea of doing it on a boat. And you have a separate state on a boat that goes around the world. Free Cities is...
No, but this was an island off Honduras.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's C-setting also.
I don't think he's very involved anymore.
Or he's doing
maybe
both.
not.
Patrick Friedman's doing both. Like,
I
I know, I
think
talked
he's
with him
doing
several
both.
times about this, yeah.
But the idea is to have competitive governance.
He has an island, and he also is doing, he's also part of the Less Wrong community. They call themselves rationalists, and they design all these optimal heuristics to like navigate the world for everything, through everything. I went to a lot of the meetups, and he also was there. The meetups were held at a place where he lived for a while as well.
Yeah.
So it was great. Oh yeah, I mean this is the place to be, definitely.
Problems from like an entrepreneurship perspective, and it was really interesting because I got to be helped out, and
Bitcoin and schools like yours. So hey, who else? Did you want to? Who wants to pitch? Anybody else want a 2-minute pitch? Yeah, go ahead, Dave. Yeah.
All right, so I'm Gabe Brotman. Since I was 12, I've created 2 internet businesses that I sold first before the age of 22. Now I'm creating a Equity Dancer. a global equity marketplace that enables startups to use their equity to obtain critical resources. We've coined the term Equity Lancer to identify talents and providers of products, services, and funding that are willing to take equity in full or partial compensation. Imagine coming to our website and being able to use your equity to hire a co-founder, get legal services, an office for your businesses, machines for manufacturing, PR services for marketing, a programmer to develop your product. It's all possible in our marketplace. And we have thousands of equity lancers and opportunities for you. We know now from studies that there are over 350 million entrepreneurs creating businesses in 80 countries around the world. The common denominator that startups have, regardless of mission or nationality, is that they are starved for capital. In fact, over 90% of startups have little capital to have all this equity to use. We want to capture the remaining 90% of startups that are starved for capital through the use of equity. We've seen some disruption in raising capital by startups in the crowdfunding area, but in many respects, it's not a true disruption because you're still raising cash, except you're doing it from many sources versus a few. We believe Equity Lancer represents the first true disruption in helping cash startups grow by enabling them to use little to no cash. So the way we're going to do this is we have a very strong entrepreneurial team. With me and my 3 other co-founders, we have over 100 years of experience. All 4 of us are Equity Lancers, meaning we all work for equity, and we are all committed to the success of the equity marketplace. If you believe in the Equity Lancer model, we're looking for $500,000, and we hope that you will join us in creating the world's first equity marketplace. Thank you.
Okay, are you a coder?
I do front-end development. I've coded the first version of this product, so yeah.
Okay, so here's a question I have. If you do this, is there going to be a currency, a cross-equity currency? So what you're saying is, look, if I work for, Joe's lifeguard company, and I'm starting this business, I can then use my equity through your system, I guess, for hiring lawyers or whatever. But that equity has to be valued somehow, right?
Yeah.
Is it then valued against other private company equity, and so that the currency is a diversified currency, or is it just Joe's lifeguard?
It sounds like what you're talking about is Equity Lancers being able to have a portfolio of equity, that it gets to the marketplace, and then it's valued across.
And then it's valued all the way across, and these companies go up and down in value, and somehow...
It's certainly possible.
Yeah.
It's certainly possible.
And then why would Joe's lifeguard go to you? Why wouldn't he just go to the farmer and say, hey, I need to buy some picks and shovels, and buy them with his own equity? Why would going through you make it easier for the farmer to, look at this, couple of doves.
To answer your question, and I think like most other entrepreneurs, is that they have the problem of finding those people that are willing to take equity. And as an entrepreneur myself, I've always had this problem. I can't find
So you think those people exist, and you think that they are going to go to your site to take equity in something, and they haven't even met the entrepreneur.
Yeah, and we've already gotten thousands of them, and we are getting people from Asia and Europe and Latin America actually that are asking us to take this marketplace international so that they can do it too. So that if they wanted to, they could have a chunk of equity in a U.S. Silicon
Valley company.
Right.
Interesting. So they're just, or they're laundering money, one or the other.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But they would pay, somebody has to pay real dollars.
So 90% of the jobs on our site right now actually have a cash component as well. So just because we force people to use equity as a currency on our site, most people also offer cash because it's also an incentive.
That's interesting. Well, that's going to be fun. That'll be fun for the judges to think about. Yeah.
Tim, what would you need to hear in order to make that something that you definitely want to fund?
Well, I am not so sure. It's a new concept to me, so I have to think about it. But I'm not so sure that you've got hundreds of these people. I'm not so sure how much money that will represent. I don't know how many more of those people there are. I mean, if there are millions and billions of dollars that are all willing to give their dollars for this equity, and then you just say, oh, okay, here's the trade. One of my biggest concerns is, how do you value that company? And you just value it at the last round, I guess.
There's several ways to value it. Usually it's upon a market event. Maybe an investor comes and says, this is what you're worth, or it could be based on...
Or the worst case is the beginning, where you have no market event, and you don't know how to value yourself. So how are you valued?
Well, that leaves room for innovation. We could always build an equity valuation tool, or we could let the market decide. By market, I mean our community decide. We could let the company decide between the equity lancer that when they reach a certain point, that this is what your equity is going to be worth. So there's different ways of doing it, and people have been doing this for years with the concept of sweat equity.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do this with public companies. But the public companies don't need the cash; they've already got it. So anyway, with a private company, you would have to, because you got to be careful. There's sort of the fraudulent guy who goes, "Oh yeah, I got a new company. Oh yeah, I need need a
well, there's
nice
always
new
ways
car,
to vet
or I
those
need a-"
companies too. We could always crowdsource the best companies. We could let the community choose who are the ones that you should be taking equity from. We could also have...
But the community won't know.
True.
I mean, you got a raw startup. The community doesn't know about you. It's a good one, but they don't know that.
Another way is taking startups that come out of popular incubators or accelerators. That's just one way of vetting the startups.
You know what's good about this is, I don't know whether the business itself is going to be a big hit, but you will learn something of incredible value in there that would then turn into a business that's really valuable. That's my guess. You will somehow, by going after this, you'll find the business. I mean, I don't know whether that means your pitch is going to be a big success, but it'll at least get them thinking. Do you have any companies currently that are giving equity for cash? Yeah, you also have some weird regulatory things that are just going to be a nightmare.
I don't think so. I think
In the
people are always
US?
giving equity to hire people. Have you heard the story of Facebook giving equity to the guy that painted the walls? And
Yeah.
there's stuff like that.
They do that, but you're only allowed 35 of those.
35 people taking equity.
Right, before it becomes, you start to have to register with the SEC. So,
Well, I hope it doesn't get to that point.
35
where,
if they're not accredited investors. If they're accredited, you can put it.
Well, we could always limit it to
For their
some
public.
extent, but I don't think a startup will be giving away their equity that freely, especially the best ones.
They will if if it's valued highly. And then they can make a trade-off. They say, hey, I got to buy a pool basketball hoop. Should I pay $400 or should I pay 13 shares of stock, depending on how high it is? Should I pay 0.000% of my company? Might do that instead.
It's good to watch out for.
Yeah. You got to. I mean, this is one where you're going to run into regulations, but you kind of should do it without the knowledge of regulations. Just go and see what happens. Because I think then the companies are the ones who are going to have to figure that out. You don't. They have to figure out whether they've got 500 shareholders or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could always educate them to some extent. So, like, we also have a resource center that will be very powerful for our community.
Good. I like how you presented it. I think you're kind of doing a nice job. I would figure out your market size. I'd figure out how you make money.
I mean, I know, if you would like to hear, we have 3 main revenue streams. One being subscriptions for startups. You can imagine that they would want to use premium filters, and they would
They
want
have no cash.
They have limited cash.
So you're thinking they're going to give you cash, and then
And it happens all the time. If you look at all the other services for startups, they are always paying for these things. But this is something that will help them grow their business. It's something very crucial to the success of developing their idea. So another thing is we have a unique
What are your
database.
other revenue sources?
Oh, the other revenues would be subscriptions for the equity lancers, those people that are willing to take equity. They would be wanting to find and pursue the opportunities, but we would also have premium filters for that. And then we would also have shared revenue generated from the products and services sold in our marketplace. And then by next year, we are planning to implement an advertising model.
It's interesting. The shared revenue, you could have quite a portfolio, a whole bunch of little pieces of little companies, and it all add up to something. But if there, I mean, there's a little bit of the, I forget what they call it, basically, you won't end up with the best companies because the best companies will hoard their equity, and the worst ones will just say, sure, I'll do anything. Here, take some stock. Go ahead, take some stock.
I've heard that before, and my argument to that is that the best companies will have such a great idea, and when they reach a roadblock, they're going to want to find an easy solution to just get whatever they need to get past that roadblock. And I think if the equity marketplace existed, they would know right away that they could offer very little bit of their equity to get what they need, versus having to go out through the world and ask person to person, business to business, to try to get past that roadblock. So I think it could work. There's obviously those companies that will want to hoard their equity, but there are much more that are wanting to get past.
It's cool enough to be interesting for the group. So I think you're onto something. It may not be exactly what you have in mind now, but you're probably onto something. Somehow, if you can create a currency out of equities, generally, people would feel a little bit better about that. Then eventually McDonald's starts to take it. And you'd go after the private market. My thought was to go after all the public companies and allow people to just use, why transfer your value into dollars before going and buying a cheeseburger when you can just have a big ETF or the S&P 500 or whatever, and you just, or whatever your portfolio is, you know what it was worth at 4 o'clock today. You say, here, why can't I just do that?
I don't see why we wouldn't be able to go in that direction, honestly. It's in the end, it's a marketplace.
Well, the public market would be a lot bigger currency, but this is one that helps entrepreneurs more, so it's an interesting, pretty cool thing to go after.
And it comes
You're going to
out
have
of
fun going after it, that's all.
It comes out of my personal frustration. I've always needed someone, a co-founder or an office or something like this, and I've been able to get those things through the use of equity.
Lead with that. Tell them that. That's the heart thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Tim,
Anybody
chat
else?
as well. I don't know you guys
2
were here
minutes?
before though. Sure. I just wanted to
got
get
your
feedback.
2-minute pitch?
I want to get your feedback on why you think I should pitch the internet idea versus the wireless wearable muscle sensor device. Because Andy mentioned that he thinks
They're
that was
both
more
good.
exciting.
They're both
okay.
good.
Okay. Do you know about like the audience
Which
of the
one
panel
do you
of
care
VCs?
about?
So I mean, I care about both of them immensely. I feel like one of them is always a bigger picture, but it's less likely to succeed. Whereas the one with the wireless wearable muscle sensors that can read your brain, can read your muscles, and tell you how you can work out to achieve an ideal workout. Those are, we already have alpha units, and we already have traction. We already have people writing about us, and we already have people who pre-purchase them.
Well, you know this is getting to be a big industry.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I
I'm
got a
wearing one right
Fitbit.
now.
I got a Fitbit on.
Yeah.
Right
I
now.
have a
There you go.
Lumo back on.
Right.
Make
Yeah,
sure
I've
my
got
posture-
Exactly.
90,
Here's good. I'll see
15.
if
I'm almost to my
your goal.
where I need to be.
Okay, great. So I know that's going to be huge too, but I don't know if it's going to be as scalable as free internet everywhere, as I was describing, data is the new oil, etc. So I'm curious why you were excited about one or versus the other.
I think I understood the free internet really, really well, really quickly.
Okay.
The other one, the wearable things,
Yeah.
that is a market that's taking off right now. So if you
Yeah.
want to do that one,
Right. That
now
seems
would be the time.
okay. Right. That seems more immediately relevant. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Everybody, you can talk about the Jawbone guys buying Body Media, and you
Mhm.
can talk about how things are
Right.
really moving fast in that space. And Jawbone also has the wrist thing, and Nike has a wrist thing.
Right.
Fitbit has this, and there are a lot of interesting things happening out there.
Mhm.
There's a lot of feedback.
Right.
Going on.
Closing the feedback loop is exactly what I want to be doing as well. So you're
I
very
was
familiar
just-
with a lot of
I
these.
was just talking to a guy from Singapore who's going to do, they call it personalized medicine, but he was going to go after the FDA for all these tests he's
Mhm.
created,
Yeah.
but now he can actually just go straight to the consumer.
Perfect. Right. Exactly. And
And
what's
that's what he's
encouraging.
going to do with his tests. So,
Okay. Do you know? Wait. Is
very
that actually?
exciting.
Is it called personalized medicine, or is it just a topic, personalized medicine? I know somebody who started a company that their tagline is personalized medicine, MetaMed, if it's
yeah,
related.
there's thousands of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know.
Type
So
in
just-
personalized medicine.
Oh no, yeah.
you'll
I was
find
wondering.
thousands of
Right. I was wondering if it was a topic or if it was a company name, because I know somebody
It's
who
not a
started
company
Okay. Right.
I mean, at least the Singapore guy, that's not his company.
Sure.
It's called Clear Braziers.
Okay, awesome. So you're saying that it could go either way. And earlier this morning, it sounded like you were really.
No,
set
that
on
was
the
my
direction.
instinct because that was the one that grabbed me.
Okay.
Because I thought, wow, that could be really big,
Mhm.
and you could get everybody free internet, and all you had to do was sort of.
Share your data, which I think could be a win-win situation if we can deliver
And
people better
also, I
processing.
always felt like that was Skype. Skype's original idea
Okay.
was with Wi-Fi.
Thanks, Tim.
Right.
Yeah,
that
you
makes
bet,
sense.
Dave. Interested, it's good. I'm glad. Skype's original idea was shared internet, or it
Mhm.
wasn't their original. It was one of their ideas. And then Phone, F-O-N, did it.
Okay. FO
Look up Phone.
Okay. Free sharing internet.
And they share Wi-Fi. The idea is you have a Wi-Fi system, you give away half your bandwidth to
Yeah.
the community,
Yeah.
and then you get to use everybody else's.
Yeah, that makes sense as well. Okay. So how detrimental would it be? I know I've asked this about switching halfway through and saying, well, if the free internet idea isn't your cup of tea, then you can consider this other project I'm a part of.
You only got 2 minutes.
I feel like
It's your 2 minutes.
right. I feel like I've consistently been able to deliver it in like a minute and 10 seconds. And the core of the idea is there. I think the idea of tomorrow's pitches is more to start a conversation rather than it is to secure funding immediately. If anyone's really going to get funding, they aren't going to like sign away everything right then and there.
But they want to read in you a real need to get something done.
Mm-hmm.
And if the thing is that you're into the monitoring of
Right.
and-
Well, this life logging thing, that's one of the many things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quantified stuff.
then that's the thing you should pitch. And if life blogging is the thing you really care about, that's the thing you should pitch.
Well, that's not going to make them money. This is
No,
to help
just
make
for fun, right?
Right.
And kind of an interesting. Makes you.
Right. It's just different or more remarkable.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting.
Okay, but yeah, my goal is of course to have everyone win, and then them ideally make a lot of money too in the process, and me be able to start up my company sooner.
Yeah.
Because this one would be, of course, something I would have more control over. The other company I'm working for, it's not mine, but it's something I care a lot about.
I think it's your choice. You
Okay.
you should really think through. You know, it's sort of you've had a long time. You know, this 8 weeks is sort of a long time to sort of figure out who you are, what you really like to be,
Sure.
what you want to do with yourself down the road. What do you picture yourself doing when you're 50, and then work your way back? That's kind of a nice. That's sort of a fun way to think about your life.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of interesting ideas.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I mean, really, a lot of very interesting ideas, and how you are going to approach them, or how you are going to
Execute.
execute on them, is a big question.
Mhm.
and what kind of a person you end up being. Will you be running the companies, or will you hire people to run the companies?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Bill Gross from Idea Lab, he had lots of ideas, and he knew that he was not the CEO. He was not the guy who should run.
Yeah, that's a good
He
example.
had lots of good ideas, and he created Idea Lab, and he did figure out really well how to set them up.
Okay.
You know.
How to set up other CEOs to
Yeah,
successfully
to
execute on their products.
successfully execute his vision. Yeah, but they.
Okay.
By the way, they a few of them worked beautifully, and the rest of them have been just
They fell flat.
garbage.
Okay.
So.
Sure. There is definitely.
So there is something to picking one and just going after it.
Okay. But
Because
isn't that
if
evidence
you
for doing
pick-
a lot?
Huh?
Isn't that evidence for doing a lot?
No.
Oh, okay.
The evidence for doing a lot is, well, a venture capitalist does a lot, an incubator does a lot,
Right.
Idea Lab does a lot. The ones who really win tend to be the ones who say, this is right.
Okay.
One thing. This is right. Drop all the other ideas. Go after that.
Okay.
But the other ones who really win are the ones who just know themselves so well that they realize that their role in life is whatever it is.
Sure. Of course. I don't want to define myself or limit myself to one of these startups. I feel like it's that there are stair steps in between.
Right. So you
where I
may
wanna
have
go.
the same thing I had, which I did not want to dedicate myself to any one idea, and then I found that venture capital was going to be.
Well, that can be all of them. That can be a lot of them.
I could be a little piece of a lot of them, and
Right.
not. And I knew that operating one forever would not was not my skill set. I was not going to be able to do that.
Okay.
In everything I do, with I don't know if you were there, but I said everything I do. They asked, well, how do you pick your team? Everything I do, I always pick a really good operating person.
Yes.
Carol.
Carol's
awesome.
fantastic for that, definitely.
John Fisher, amazing.
Yeah.
Really good operating people.
Mhm.
so
Absolutely.
that,
That's so
that
much of it.
those things get done that have to get done.
Right. Okay. Very well said.
And you may be that type too.
Okay.
Ideas, and you may be sort of ideas to the point of getting the person doing it, operating it, and you end up getting more equity for it that way.
Mhm.
And then maybe you can help them raise money or something
Right.
like that. Figure
Okay,
out
well
what.
said.
Idea Lab was sort of a brilliant idea. Nobody had ever done that before.
Okay.
Now there have been tons of them, not
Right.
really successful, but tons of them.
Sure.
That may be your you should go meet him.
Okay. Bill Gross.
Bill
Idea Lab.
Gross at
All right.
Idea Lab.
Okay.
He might end up being a really good mentor for you.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. So I'll just email or message him mentioning that as well, the conversation as well. Cool. What would you think, lastly, are good ways to diffuse incredulity or diffuse any criticism you might have about the free Wi-Fi or the sensor idea?
These are open-minded people. They've seen unbelievable things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Things that were impossible
Okay.
happen. So I don't think you're going to get
Incredulity? Yeah, okay.
Incredulity.
Really.
I don't think you're going to get that.
Sure.
I
I guess
think
maybe
you're
it's
gonna
more,
get-
I want them to feel super confident that it's clearly going to be a great investment, regardless of whether or not they're the ones doing it, someone else might do it, whatever.
Well, I think you have to. Well, this is where you might say, here are my first two ideas. And I'm going to do, I am going to be an idea generator. I am going to be, and maybe that's what you say.
Mm-hmm.
You say, here, the bet is on me.
Right. Can we do that legally? Does that work?
Say whatever you want.
I mean, it's interesting. There's Upstart, which allows you to invest in individuals, which is really interesting like that. But
Well, no, you make it a corporate. You incorporate.
right.
Idea Labs incorporated.
Okay.
You incorporate. You say, the bet is on me.
So it's like
I have two ideas. I am going to set up a number of different companies in my life.
Mhm.
I'm going to start.
with these.
And these are the first two I'm starting. And this is the first one I'm starting.
Okay.
I think that might work for you.
That's very well said. No, I appreciate it. That's a really good position, too. I hadn't considered it from that frame or zooming out in the scope.
Yeah.
All right. That's
Yeah.
great.
What's the lineup here? Like, is there anybody else?
We kind of like our casually hanging out.
Lori
So.
wants to pitch. Mike wants to pitch.
And then
And you can. Huh?
Can I go after them?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I wanted to make sure I got time, not necessarily to pitch. I'd like to pitch too, but to talk to you about post Draper stuff.
Yeah, me too.
So if you want that, I'm assuming that's after everything.
Sure. Well, the pitches kind of help me. Then I kind of understand what it is you're going to be doing post Draper. Why don't we have Mike go while you're getting
Okay. Thanks, Tim. And yeah, I really appreciate that as well. I really enjoyed yoga today, by the way. Totally unrelated.
The yoga?
If you had set that up or if you had, I don't know.
So, I got my pitch in 2 minutes. I also want to actually attend my slides.
Okay, do you have them right there?
Ari, are you sending slides? Do you do slides?
Just one.
Just one slide. That makes sense.
It's called.
I wasn't planning on doing slides, but just doing one makes sense. Well, I've got half an hour to do that.
So I'll just read it.
I'm going to do that because I'm freezing cold too.
Okay.
Let's see if I can do it. Oh, I don't know where my key card is. Oh, here it is. Okay. What? Oh, helping with Zohar's projects? How do you get onto their Google Drive? What do you mean?
Yeah, I'm here at Google Drive. Okay.
What do you want to do?
I need to put my presentation on.
She's cute, man.
I have no idea how to use it.
I think you just
She must have sent me an email.
I got
Hey, how do you like this? Justify. Airbnb for your exclusive social networks. And I invent the word justify, verb, pronoun. Justify, to include a trusted friend in your exclusive sharing circle.
Right. When I hear Airbnb for your exclusive social networks, it sounds like I'm renting friends.
Maybe you are.
Airbnb. Confined to your social networks.
Confined sounds like I'm in a box.
Airbnb. Everybody else understood it. You're the first person that didn't understand it.
No, I understand it. I'm just saying that that's immediately what comes to mind. I can understand something, but have a lot of reservations about something. I can understand something and criticize it. I can understand something
That's
and hate it.
Almanac, huh?
How do you know about that?
No, I know the guy.
He was I know him because of you.
I know. No. And he hated me because I
What?
liked Estelle.
Dude, don't like people that other people like, ever. You're going to be lonely for the rest of your life.